Hi friends, this particular video is not for everyone. If you check out all my other videos, they're for everyone. This particular one is not. This is only for men who are losing their lives to porn addiction. So if you feel that your life is being ruined by porn, then I have something to share with you. If you are not in that situation, if your life is not out of control, if you're not losing everything because of porn, then this video is going to sound extreme to you. It's going to sound way too graphic. It's not going to feel interesting to you. So I would invite you to move over to some of our other videos and you might get more enjoyment out of those. This particular message is only for those men out there who are seriously entangled with porn and they need to beat this addiction right away to get their lives back. If you're ready to overcome this, you're probably looking for help. You have searched, you have talked to experts, you have been reading articles on the internet, right? If you're ready to beat porn addiction, you've been looking for help, you've been looking for information. And it might anger you or it might turn you off to my message, what I'm about to tell you, but it is the truth. Most of what you read and hear about out there about this problem is plain wrong and keeps you actually increasing the problem. It is just plain wrong. I don't care who the expert is, who the author is. Most of it out there is wrong. It's just plain false. I'm telling you the truth, and hear this message if you need to get your life back, and then you put these techniques to work for yourself, and then you can tell me what the results that you get are. I'm here to tell you this. I've been doing this for over 20 years and have helped a bunch of men get their lives back. And the reason why I'm recording this message is because the number of men calling with this problem is so huge, I cannot help them all. So I figured, okay, let me record a few of these messages, and I'm going to put each of the techniques that we use, the entire method that I use to help men beat porn addiction. I'm going to put them here on here for you to watch and for you to take care of this on your own, because you can. And the first thing that you're going to see as you begin to pay attention to these techniques, to this method that I've developed, is that everything else that you've heard out there simply doesn't work. In fact, most of it increases the problem. All right, so first of all, my apologies. In the name of the profession, I apologize to you. You got bad advice, and it isn't your fault. It's also not the profession's fault. In other words, a lot of people out there are still not ready to beat porn addiction because they're still getting some sort of benefit from it, where they want to keep on going a little bit longer because they feel they haven't figured out yet that they're being played, that they're being vampirized, that they're being abused by forces that they do not understand and by their own minds. So they actually think they're getting something out of this, when in reality something is being gotten out of them. In other words, they're the victims here, but they haven't figured this out yet. They're being abused, really, literally. And if you are ready to beat porn addiction, then you figured this out already. You've been played really bad. Your mind, your body has been hijacked, all of your energy is spent, your dignity is lost, and your masculinity is at stake here. And I'm sorry if this may sound a little bit offensive. I don't mean to turn you off or to offend anybody. I'm just telling you because I've worked with thousands of men on this, and this is exactly what's going on. If you are ready to face the fact, you've been played, you're being abused by forces that are extremely powerful. So we're going to talk about each one of these ideas, but today I want to give you two techniques that we use that are going to set this process in motion for you. Let me tell you this first, right up front. Beating porn addiction isn't one event. It's not magic, and it's a process that does take a little bit of time, because it isn't as simple as turning off the addiction. We actually have to help you rebuild a life. And I mean this completely, just as I'm saying it. We have to rebuild your life. And again, I repeat this, it may sound repetitive. If you're not ready to do this, or if you're not in trouble with porn, then you won't identify with what I'm saying. But the man who's there, the man who's figured out already that his life is gone because of porn. He knows exactly what I mean when I say we got to rebuild an entire life here. Everything has been lost. Everything. So we got to rebuild everything. And the whole process is not immediate. So the method that we use isn't immediate either, because the method progresses. I mean, there are several stages of the method, and the stages progress in proportion to your ability to carry out these changes in your life. So it's going to take a little while, but not very long, but it's going to take a little while, and it varies from person to person. But here are the first two steps that are going to get this ball rolling for you. Here are the first two steps of the method that are going to set you in motion towards freedom. Freedom from an addiction that is basically taking your life away from you. So here's the first thing I'm going to ask you to do. I want you to pay attention to something. Is your use of porn and masturbation a secret? It's a question. Most likely it is. Most likely it is. Now, some of you watching this realize that, it's all gone because of porn, and you may have already been caught, or maybe a spouse has confronted you or something, and at this point it may not be a secret anymore. But pay attention how, indeed, for a long time you kept this addiction a secret. Nobody knew about it, right? Realize one thing. Work with me here a little bit. If you have ever heard of somebody who's a victim of sexual abuse as a child, for instance, realize that the abuser always incites the child to keep those events a secret. So abuse and secret always go together. Now you tell me, well, I'm not a child, I'm not being sexually abused, and I'm so sorry to tell you this. I don't mean to alarm you or to offend you. Of course you're being sexually abused. You just don't know this yet. Or maybe you do know already, I don't know. But of course you are being sexually abused, and you're both being abused and the abuser. But there are other forces abusing you as well. And we have to turn all this stuff off. But the point I'm saying here is that abuse and secret always go together. So the first thing you're going to need is what we call an accountability partner. You're going to need somebody that you can confide in. Choose the person carefully. It might be a spouse, a friend. It could be me. Give me a call and tell me. Or put a comment below this video. Or a family member, or a parent, or somebody that you trust. Choose that person carefully, but tell that person, look, my life is ruined because of porn, but I'm ready to overcome it. I'm ready to work on it. And I just need you to know, because I want to break this secret, because I realize that part of the problem is keeping it a secret. So now that you know, that begins to change the dynamics for me. So first of all, everything I tell you is non-conventional. That's why we get results every time, consistent results, because the advice you're getting from the so-called experts out there is plain wrong. Remember what I'm telling you. By the time we're all done with this, you're going to call me up and say, dude, you're completely right. You're completely right. I've been reading all these experts, and what they're telling me, they're talking to me about CBT, and they're talking to me about turning off triggers, and there's no way to turn off all the triggers, because the triggers are inside of you. We would have to remove your head if we're going to remove all the triggers, and clearly that's absurd. There is no way. If you're deep into porn, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Denial time is over. Secret time is over. And if you're ready to take care of this problem, you realize that there's just no way to turn off the triggers, because everything is a trigger. Therefore, all those therapeutic interventions that have to do with identifying triggers and turning them off, none of that works, because the triggers are all over inside of you and outside of you. So we have to do something completely different and unconventional. And I spent years developing this methodology, and I've helped thousands of men overcome porn addiction. And here's how we do it. Number one, you're going to find somebody to whom you can be accountable, a partner, an accountability partner, somebody that can ask you, how is it going? How is it going? You see, in the AA movement, in the Alcoholics Anonymous, you have a sponsor, and you call your sponsor and say, look, I'm thinking of having a drink. No, hey, think about this. Come over, let's talk. You see, you need to have somebody there working with you. I can only work with so many people. But you can find somebody that you trust wherever you are, and you can say to that person, look, I got this problem and I'm ready to overcome this problem. I just want to let you know that I have this problem, and I want to be able to check in with you periodically, and I want you to give me a hand with this. Okay? So now that you have communicated with that person, it's no longer a secret, and that person will check in with you periodically, and that begins to change the entire dynamics here. Number two, this is totally contrary to popular opinion, right? Most people think that if they beat themselves up every time they masturbate and they watch porn, they think that the negative reinforcement there will cause them to not do it again, and it works the exact opposite way. See, so there's a cycle there that we study when we work with a person. And so they get into porn, they masturbate, they climax, and then after a while they feel really bad about themselves. And basically they beat up on themselves, quote unquote. They feel bad, they feel dirty, they feel somehow inadequate, right? And there's pressure, there's this idea there that if I feel really bad about what I've done, somehow I won't do it again. Now, if you and I are talking, ask yourself a question. Have you not done it again because you felt bad the last time you did it? Had you not done it again, it wouldn't be an addiction and we wouldn't be talking. It has gotten out of hand precisely because every time you beat yourself up over what you have done the last time, it increases the need for the next event because there's a huge high during the event, which is the compensation for the low that we feel when we beat ourselves up. So here's what I'm saying to you. I'm asking you to forgive yourself. Now, again, it's not an immediate thing, but whenever you feel bad about it, rather than getting down on yourself, I'm asking you to do the opposite. I'm asking you to look at yourself carefully and say, I forgive myself. I forgive myself, I forgive myself, I forgive myself. And then just drop it out of your mind. And if the thought comes back, you say, I forgive myself. Now, don't worry if you end up doing porn again and masturbating again. What you're going to start noticing, and this is not the entire method, it's just the first two steps, but eventually what you're going to start noticing with these two techniques alone, okay, what you're going to start noticing is that the time between events begins to increase. In other words, the events become less frequent. You begin to space them out a little bit more. And they become less intense. They last less time. In other words, instead of sitting there for 3 hours watching porn videos and masturbating, maybe it's going to be 1 hour. Let me tell you, that's a great improvement. And if you've cut back from a couple hours to 1 hour or whatever your situation is, I want you to congratulate yourself and reinforce the forgiveness as opposed to beat yourself up because you're still wasting an hour. You see, we're going to go the other way around here. And these numbers that I'm picking are just random. Some people, I don't know what your habits are, what your procedures are, because everybody has their own secret procedures of how they do this. Sometimes a person will do like a bunch of little sessions throughout the day. Other times they spend a whole number of hours at night just doing porn, whatever. So however you do this, the overall amount of time spent and lost to this addiction begins to decrease, and that's awesome. Later we're going to talk about how to use that time that you begin to get back, but for right now I'm just asking you to do two things because this is the first part of a method that we have developed that works every single time. And here are the first two parts. Number one, somebody needs to know what's going on with you. We call this an accountability partner. Usually, I suppose if you have one, a friend, a girlfriend, whatever the case might be, somebody whom you trust. And two, instead of being upset with yourself, you're going to forgive yourself. Now, if you will begin this method with these two first steps, I will continue publishing these videos with other parts of the method, and you're going to start noticing an improvement right away. All right, so I'm asking you to begin the process, if you want to get your life back, by doing these first two steps. All right, let me know what you think. Let me know how it works for you. Either call me or send me an email or put comments below this video, whatever is more convenient for you. But let me know how it's going, and let me know what your situation is and what your needs are so that I can put out these videos that address specifically what it is that you need. Either way, on a schedule, I'm going to publish the second, the other parts of this methodology with the different techniques that we use, and you just watch them. You may have to watch them more than once until you understand exactly how we're going about this, what the philosophy behind it is. But invariably questions come up. So let me know what your questions are so that I can address them. And I encourage you to ask questions because oftentimes your question is also a bunch of other people's questions, and you're helping not only yourself by having your question answered, but you're helping everybody else. I won't identify anybody, of course, but if you ask me questions, I will answer them, through these videos so that everybody else can get the help and the answers to the questions. All right. So let's help one another here. Let's be nice and help each other. If you have a question about the method, ask the question so that I can clarify the explanation. This way everybody benefits. We have to work together on this. All right. It's going to take a team here, and together we can beat porn. All right. But start with those two ideas. Start with finding somebody in whom you can confide. We call this an accountability partner. And start the process of forgiving yourself. Now, any questions or comments, let me know so that we can proceed all the way until you feel perfectly restored. Your life back. That's what we're talking about. All right? I'm glad we're talking about this. Let's keep the dialogue open because you absolutely deserve your life back. Awesome.